But we need to call Richard.
Fine. Thank you,
He's on
Mr.
duty.
Rhodes.
You're welcome.
Oh, hey.
I'm sorry, it's been busy.
8:55.
You called
As
back?
usual. I
We'll be
did.
back,
Okay.
and then I'm heading
No,
42.
no, I'm
Have a
no,
lovely Monday, everyone.
I'm not.
And come on the phone.
Thank you, sir.
What's up?
Okay, you can wait
Have a
outside.
good
please.
morning, Ramona.
Thank you. Okay. I'm just kidding.
Thank you for tonight, Ramona. Have a
are
great
you
sleep.
free?
Thank
Do you
for
have
your
time?
service.
Or are you going 42 in 2 minutes?
Have a good morning. Have fun
no,
with your
not in 2
breakfast.
minutes.
Thank you for your service.
But in a bit.
Okay.
Why? What's up?
Okay, can we have a chat, like a proper chat?
I'm on my way to Mission Row.
Okay.
Though if anything pops off, I'm gonna have to dip. I mean, we have some units, I guess.
171. My reports are finished. It's
Yeah,
time
this
to.
one's pretty important.
Season,
I think
baby.
it's
Fuck
it's not-
yeah.
it's nothing
For
to
the
do. Wait, is that you over
company.
there? No, it's not. Never mind. Okay,
Passing
I'll touch you when I'm in the car.
Huh?
Okay.
Alright, bye bye. Alright, let's go somewhere private.
Hold up.
I have the perfect spot.
Less work, more pay. I love you, Miss Macy. Big fan, big fan, big fan.
And Joan, he's married. This is the perfect spot.
You'll understand why. Hold on.
Rhodes. No.
What is happening?
No, Rhodes. No. This can't happen.
Hey, dispatch dad.
Dispatch
Would you like
I
some
can't just sit
pizza?
here. Where?
Oh yeah, I'll take some
Rhodes right
pizza.
now?
Oh,
What
oh.
the hell's going on in that car? Bro,
What?
Dark!
What?
Oh!
There's nothing
Guys!
happening.
Well,
It's just rocking back and forth.
oh. Well, Rhodes,
Yeah.
is Dark on a ride along with you?
No. I can't approve ride-alongs.
Because if he is in a ride along with you, I'm going to need to speak to a superior.
No, this is
Rhodes?
not a ride-along.
Superior
Rhodes?
this.
Oh.
Rhodes,
Oh.
I saw Dark.
Oh.
Oh, it definitely looks like a fucking ride along, I'll tell you that.
Oh. Okay, all right, let me... There we are.
Rhodes, I need to talk to a senior right now.
I'm busy that day.
Dispatch,
Well,
I see a
because I
speeding tow
got a
truck.
senior riding with someone without getting approval from a senior.
Do you know what riding means?
It's just, why? Why? I'm married.
Who am
Yeah, I
I...
don't think he does the riding in the relationship.
Who
No.
am I
don't
riding with
think,
right now?
Dark? And only Dark, hopefully?
Riding right now? No.
Maybe. From
No,
this
what-
angle, yeah.
Eastbound Capitol Boulevard.
Where
with a
I'm
black
idling.
tow truck.
I'm not riding anything.
Thank
I'm
Bob,
just
sir,
saying,
same
I'm
traffic.
snitching to my
Thank you,
superior
Amanda.
Rhodes.
I appreciate you,
Okay,
dispatch dad.
You
I
two are about
am going to be snitching about your waste of resources while I'm trying to speak with our dispatcher.
Damn, he's good at this. It's like he's been doing this for years.
Mhm.
Oh, flip this.
Whose V-Star was that?
Bays?
What?
Yeah, Bay was driving.
No, you were driving.
No, she had a headache. And then I flew out of the car.
Okay, well, I'll make sure, you know, whoever's the owner will be made aware that you crashed at 190. What did you just do? Oh, now I'm the snitch? Actually, Pins, come over here. Let me apologize. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Though, Miss O'Brien did indicate you wrapped yourself around the pole. If you needed directions to the VU, you could have just asked. Okay, I think that'll shut him up.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Okay. Well,
He may actually snitch if we leave. You think if
no,
we just
it's
keep our
fine.
head
Just
down,
take me on a. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go. This is what I was talking to you about last night before you went 42.
Okay.
But we didn't really get a chance, and I feel like you should get a chance to hear the whole thing because I don't know what's gonna happen. I haven't spoken to Flop yet, and I don't think that's gonna go well. But yeah, essentially, I think Ziggy might be pretty involved, if not in the ADMC, the gang.
Okay.
And obviously, I mean, the first thing is I'm concerned about Flop because that doesn't go well. Like having a family member in a gang, especially when you're a police officer,
Yeah.
doesn't work.
You're
People
right.
get hurt. And so I'm worried about Flop. I mean, I'm worried about Ziggy too, because I don't know why he's even thinking about doing that. I had a conversation with Ziggy because I didn't really know whether or not it was a thing or not, but I won't bore you with how I found out. But essentially, I spoke to Ziggy, and Flop had already had a conversation with him because Flop was worried. Like I said to you, Flop was worried that if Ziggy's involved, Flop was thinking as a lawyer or a therapist or whatever, and Ziggy knows about either the investigation is working or investigations around that group, that it's going to come back and bite Flop in the ass when it comes to police work,
Right.
and it's going to
100%.
conflict him out of things, right?
Yeah.
So that's where it started. So I went to talk to Ziggy about that, but I'll be honest, in that conversation that I had with him, I didn't go into it with a. I'll be honest. I went into it as I was interrogating him. I'll be honest. I'm not going to lie about that. Matt, please.
Dispatch 160 10-8.
And essentially, there was a few things that really shone through and have got me thinking that he might be more involved than I initially thought, and I think Flop thinks. And I'll be honest, I think he's lying to both me and I don't know whether I don't think he's told Flop if he is any more involved. Um, I, for example, I asked about Barry Benson because Barry Benson's the president of the ADMC. I asked if Ziggy knew him and what his relationship was. He said it was friendly. I asked if he's been to his house before, and he said yeah. And I said, okay, where is that? And he said the south side. And I said, where in the south side? And he said, just the south side. And I was like, well, you were a cop for 5 years. You know all the street names like the back of your hand.
Right.
What street? And didn't answer. He changed the subject. And then he started talking about how in the future he might accidentally commit crime. Like he might make a mistake and commit crime. And
No,
he
it
was
sounds like he
talking,
knows what that action is going to be, and it's not a fucking mistake. It's not an accident.
right. The way he was saying that was I was trying to reassure Flop that if I make a mistake and fuck up and I get into trouble in the future,
Dispatch 160
that I'm not going to
10-8.
go to him and be like, Flop,
Code
get me
6
out of this,
on
get me out of
Boulevard
this.
del Paraflica
But that didn't make sense to me.
The fact that he's
Well,
preparing
Charlie,
for
sorry,
this is
Charlie.
problematic.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, what kind of crime do you think you might accidentally get into? And then he said, well, maybe there might be like a self-defense thing where the police mess up. And I'm like, that's not something you like prepare your husband, the cop, for. That's just not,
Right.
especially when the
Oh, he
conversation
just
was
fucking
about a
texted me.
gang. Who did?
Ziggy.
What did he say?
Hey Matt, I was hoping to talk to you at some point. I'm not sure if you've spoken with Flop or Richard or
That's
Etta,
it.
but I hope to
Quiet.
clear up some things. Honestly, a
Tim
family
Cody.
get-together would be optional, but I get that it's
Got
tough
it.
for all of us to be around at the same time. Sorry if I've done something to make you guys upset. Oh, that makes it so much harder.
Dispatch 857 1038 with a Group 6 truck.
Listen,
Eastbound
I ain't gonna
McDonald Street.
sugarcoat you. I wasn't very nice in that talk with Ziggy, because as the conversation went on, it was more and more clear to me that he's not telling me everything, and so he's likely not telling Flop everything either. And I gave him an ultimatum. I'll be honest, because from everything he was saying, he was even going along this line of he was trying to question me on my thoughts about cops who become criminals. And I think you know my thoughts on that. They're my least favorite type of people. And he was basically trying to say, well, some cops get fucked by the system. And, don't you have any sympathy for those kind of cops? They don't turn into criminals overnight, but they have to take things into their own hands because the police don't do anything and this kind of thing. And that was even more like, why are you trying to convince me of this right now? It just sounds like he's trying to convince me to look at him like in a different way in the future because that's what he's going to do. But basically, at the end of it, I said to him, and I was honest, and I gave him an ultimatum. I said, listen, if you're involved in the gang, as much as I'm not going to be happy with you, you're your own man. You can make your own choices, but leave Flop out of it. Just leave Flop out of it. Just leave now. Get distance yourself from Flop. I don't think I said that specifically, but don't drag Flop down into that world with you. And that's option one. Or option two is, you keep telling the truth in air quotes, and you're not involved, and you're just a therapist and a lawyer, and you carry on, being involved and being part of the family and everything. But if it turns out in the future that you're lying and you are involved and you are doing these things, then it's going to be a hell of a lot worse. And I may have threatened to punch him in the face.
How
I'm
about
not
I go
exactly
off
proud
duty
of
and we
it.
have a conversation with them?
We sure. Okay.
Hey,
Hey Ziggy, how you doing?
I'm good. Well, kind of, I guess. Yeah.
Are you busy?
I am with Etta and Flop at the moment.
Where at?
We're up at our house in Paleto.
Okay. Well, I'm getting off duty now. Richard and I are going to be on the way shortly, okay?
Okay.
All right,
All right.
see you soon. Bye. Yeah, so much for a family get-together being difficult. Etta, Flop, and Ziggy are all together. You and I are on the way.
Okay. I would have liked to talk to Flop.
Less work, more pay? By getting us to do more work? I'm not.
Yeah, I've been wiping these down. This is graffiti.
I'll be out in a moment.
I've got my car out front.
I'm going to be real. Your car sucks.
Well, we don't need to speed anyway, do we?
That first gear is like taking off in fourth.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Fair enough.
One moment.
What's happening to my car?
I don't know.
Ah,
You might want to get out.
oh.
Oh, you want me to help you out?
No.
Are you sure? Oh,
What the hell?
take
Why have you got a
mine.
backwards cap on? Please, please take that off.
Fine. I'm just trying to blend in.
With who?
Literally everybody else. Listen, I ain't trying to get spotted not on duty. The community is after me.
Oh my god. All right, come on then.
Honey, I'm not gonna lie. I was really tempted to put my golfing outfit on and question Ziggy about clubs.
No, I can't.
I know. How are we gonna
He was
approach
crying.
this? Okay. And you know who else cries? The
Who?
person who gets caught cheating in a relationship. They're sorry. It won't ever happen
Okay.
again. It was a
Ain't
mistake.
gonna-
And to be clear, I'm not saying he's a cheater. Actually, I kind of am, because if he's keeping something from Flop, he might as well be cheating.
Do you think I should speak to Flop before we have this conversation? Because he's probably not gonna be happy about the way I spoke to Ziggy.
Maybe everything has to just unfold in front of him. Wait, no, because then he's going to reference the Balto thing. Say, you didn't tell me about that
think he
either. Oh.
He might, but I don't think he will. I don't know. No, we do this. You're right. We go into this and we do it together, and we do it all at once. Either it works
Rip the
or it
Band-Aid
doesn't.
off?
Yeah.
I really hope this isn't true.
I feel like it might be. That's the worst part.
Is this his?
Yeah. The Camaro? You mean? Yeah. Why? What?
Okay. No, you first.
You go first.
You have more context.
No,
You go
first.
first.
'Cause they're probably mad at me.
Why would they be mad? I got this. No.
You gotta go. You gotta go first. Come on.
If you're waiting for the elevator, you got some time.
Oh,
No elevator.
Hi.
Hello, how's everyone?
Good. Hi.
Hey.
Hello.
My God. It took a major celestial event, but we're all here. Wow.
A celestial
yeah.
event?
The
You-
solar eclipse. Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Uh-huh. Because at first
I
I was
didn't
like, damn,
consider
did
that.
hell freeze over? Did somebody sacrifice a virgin?
You know what? Hell may freeze over. Maybe.
Oh, no.
I'm in a family meeting.
So, it's good to see
Oh my God.
everybody.
God damn it, Meg. Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah, you do it, huh?
Mhm. How's everyone doing?
I
Well,
am.
it's got to be serious because you're off duty. So
That's-
let's rip that Band-Aid off.
Okay. I don't know why you're coming at me sideways like that.
No, I'm
Okay,
not.
well-
I'm not coming at you sideways.
Man.
I haven't. I'll be honest. I haven't had a lot of time to process what's built this all here. So
Okay. Well, what has brought us all here?
We're a family and we love each other.
Mm-hmm. And as a family who loves each other, sometimes we need to tell somebody. That something ain't right.
True, but we also have to hear each other out,
You're
and
right. Yeah.
we have to see both sides, and we have to remember that we love each other, and we need to try and understand.
Okay.
So let's start with the elephant in the room. And everybody just take a deep breath, Remember, we're a family. We love each other.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Who wants to start?
Um.
I'll tell you what, I don't want to start because I know Ziggy, you text Matt about talking, so I think I'll chime in when I think it's worth chiming in. I know you guys probably wanted to have a chat on your own, so I mean, if you want me to go like stand in the corner or something, I can do.
No, no, no. It's okay. I was. I mean, honestly, I was. Texting Matt. Was sort of just gauging to see if he was around because I knew that me, Flop, and Etta were. I didn't know if you were, Richard, but I hadn't had the opportunity to talk to Matt yet. To see where you were at with everything. So I think that's that was my goal of reaching out.
Okay. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I have very, very, very little context
Mm-hmm.
of what's going on. So, who wants to explain? I mean,
I
Zig,
don't. I don't.
Ziggy.
I don't mind starting because this sort of started with
Okay.
me. Uh, I'm gonna ask this, uh, not as a snarky question, but as a genuine one. Do you want a short version, or would you like the full explanation?
Um, I would normally say full explanation, but give us.
I'll give you sort of just a basis.
Well, no, no, no. Give us the details that are need to know.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah. Okay. It's gonna be hard to square away this beginning part, so just bear with. But something came up while I was conducting an investigation, and in order to make sure that I was safe and good to continue conducting said investigation, without going into detail, I reached out to Ziggy so that we could have a conversation. I guess during that time, uh, Richard spoke to somebody, and there was some kind of a back and forth. I received a phone call. Ziggy and I wrapped up our conversation, spoke with Richard, and I told him that we were okay. Things were good. The important context to that was that I needed to make sure that the person in question that had come up, I was okay to continue investigating, as I was unsure uh, if there would have been possible conflict that would have had to stop me from conducting the case.
So when he reached out to me about this, um, he had concerns, but did not mention what they may have been directly because that is, it involves his job. So, but inferring from what little he did give me, I uh, reassured him that whatever the investigation could have potentially been about that I had no involvement nor knowledge of. And, just reassured him that, that whole situation as a whole was not something that was going to, affect him negatively or any of you negatively, period. Yeah. And as far as the details with that, I have no issue being as open as I can be, as long as I'm within the, the lines of the law. This involves people in the group called the ADMC. I know quite a bit of them, if not, I don't know if I know all of them, but I know most of them. A lot of them are clientele, either via law work or I do therapy now. Some of which I have, you know, I would say that we are friends. I don't know if I would call them close friends, but I would say that we are friends. And I think that because of those things that I just said, Flop was worried that it could come up in terms of his work, his investigation slash. I think that there's just an overall worry that you know my being around these people endangers any of you. Yeah. Which I just want to say, and I understand that even me saying this, I don't think that, or I'm not going to say you have to believe it, but if it does anything, I would like to reassure everybody that there is no issue or any danger or anything like that. But, that's, yeah.
Okay, but why would there even be a cause for concern if this is sort of solely within the capacity of you as either an attorney or a therapist?
Right. I don't know.
Ziggy, this isn't exactly like you. Like, normally, if you were confronted with a situation like this, it's like, sort of, for lack of a better term, it's never this. I've never gotten a text from you in a situation like this. Normally, it's you screeching, "I'm just doing my fucking job," and
Right.
But
Well,
now we're all sitting here barely saying a word, and you're saying you're just doing your job essentially as an attorney and a therapist.
well, that's the thing though. You're saying that I've gone out of my way to present this to everybody. I have just been doing the job. But Flop came to me and talked to me about it, and then, Flop went to Richard and talked to him about it, and I want to say that Flop brought up something that Richard may be worried or concerned. So I was like, okay, I have again no issues being an open book about this stuff. So I reached out to Richard and was like, hey, let's have a talk. And that did not go well. So I figured, okay, I've talked to both Flop and Richard. I saw Edda at the end of that day after I talked to Richard. The last person that I had to talk to was you, so I reached out. This isn't me just going out of my way to cover my ass or some shit. This is me being, I was reached out to first.
Okay. But like Matt said, why would you being a lawyer or a therapist for these people be of concern to the rest of us, like from a danger standpoint?
That is a question that I don't have an answer to. That is the worry that you had, and I tried to reassure on, and I don't know that it actually happened. So I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
I didn't bring that out specifically. You brought that
You
up.
did. No, you did. You did. You implied some sort of association or implication with these people, and it. Okay.
Deep breath.
I'm gonna step in.
Hold on. Because I want to clear something up.
Let him finish.
Ziggy. For the most part, I'm gonna lie and say this is 100%. I'm not coming at you. Nobody's coming at you from a place of malice. Both me and Matt are concerned about this situation as a whole because people could be at risk. That goes for both Flop and you. So as much as this might feel as people coming at you, which it is, doesn't mean we're attacking you or anything. And I understand this might be a very stressful situation and it might be upsetting as well, but this needs to happen.
Richard. Okay, I'm gonna say this as plainly as I can. Not only did you, during our conversation, openly say that you do not trust me, you said that if I were to break Flop's heart or, hurt him in any way, that you would, in turn, break my face. Now, I understand that that is coming from a place of, you want to protect your son, and I get that. And if I was, somebody new to the family, or even new to a relationship with Flop, that wouldn't have bothered me. But we've been together for years, and give me a second. We've been together for years, and I see both you and Matt as my dads, and to hear that, it I did not feel like a part of the family in that moment.
Ziggy, I don't know much about what's going on. But what I do know is that I'm a firm believer in, trust but verify. I say that all the time. But I'm also a firm believer in sort of setting forth not just expectations but consequence. I want people to know nobody should ever be surprised about what happens to them, or what the consequence is should something happen. But I will say this. I personally will never get physical with you. And I trust you. I have very little reason not to. But if I find out that you're lying to us in front of me, Flop, Richard, and Etta, there is no coming back from that. None. Zero. There's no apology in this world. There's nothing. So if there is something to be said, if there's something going on, you can tell us now. Or again, for me personally, that there's no coming back.
Okay.
And to be clear, if nothing's going on, that's fine. Again, I've already said what I said. I trust you. All right? And I don't know if your back is up against a wall right now. But if there was anyone you could confide in, it would be us.
true. What happens at home stays at home. But if we can't trust in each other, then who can we trust in?
Yeah. Okay. And I fully understand that. If there's anything to be said about it, it's um, those that that group of people. I don't know about all of them. Uh, See me as uh, uh, somebody that they trust with their rather sensitive information, their personal lives, sometimes even shit that goes on in between them. Um,
That
and
sounds like
that.
normal lawyer therapist stuff.
Mm, mm,
No, it's not.
no, not necessarily. You know, people talking about their personal problems with therapists, that's normal, but this is uh, deeper in the way of interpersonal relationships. Um, they see me um, as a way to, help and resolve that in some ways. Uh, in terms of what all they get up to, I am not involved in uh, anything criminal. Am I privy to some things that have, that they've done? Sure, but there's a lot that I don't know. There are things that I am not told, um, and that is it. How they view me is, you know, up to them. There's no label that has been put on any of it. Um, that is where I'm at. Um, uh,
G.
if it's no, uh, if it's okay, I'd like just a little bit to think while you guys talk. I want to say more, but yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm just gonna take a moment if that's all right.
Hmm.
That's fine. Hmm.
So, does anybody else want to share their thoughts?
I mean, I've made mine clear. And I will always do this for any relationship. When I say relationship, it doesn't have to be super personal.
Right.
But trust me when I say I am the type of person that can drop somebody from my life and pretend they never existed. It's not difficult for me to
Well,
do so. And that may sound terrible. I get it. Um, for some, it's incredibly difficult. It's never been difficult for me, and I love all of you. I do, but at the same time, that can go away if I no longer have a reason to love you. I'm not somebody who will endlessly hold on, hoping things are going to change. I know people are creatures of habit. I know people rarely ever change, and everyone here knows that. Everyone here deals with the amount of stuff that we deal with on a daily basis every single day. Run into the same people, doing the same thing,
yeah.
go to prison, rinse, repeat, do it again. The only time they ever change is when they need or want something. And they change temporarily. But I can count over the past 12 years, maybe 2 people who I've genuinely seen change. And so, for me, it comes down to I've seen this so many times. And again, I'm not at all saying Ziggy's doing something wrong. What I am saying is I've seen people struggle with trying to change, and some people lying about being willing to change, and then falling back into their old habits. And I don't want to see that here. But at the same time, if I do, I'm not going to sit and pretend that I don't know you. I will have a conversation with you, and I will make it clear we're done. You know, I don't want anything to do with you. Like I said, I know that's difficult for some, but for me, it's not. Because I have always told people, I know my own mental capacity. I know where that threshold is. And I know that if I were to entertain or try to hope that something was going to get better, and it didn't, it would push me past that threshold. And it's probably one of the few things that keeps me grounded. But I've done this my whole life. And I've never passed that threshold because I am willing to step away. I don't want that to happen here, Ziggy. I hope you realize that.
I do.
I guess I'll be transparent about the conversation that we had yesterday. I went into that. I had to go into that as an interrogation. And Flop, I'll be honest, when we had that conversation in the briefing room, as much as it kind of, like you say, that you thought everything was kind of smoothed over and okay, I didn't want you to have to be the one to do what I did with Ziggy at the park yesterday. Because I'll be honest, I had to go into that and as an interrogation because I had to put emotion aside. Because as much as I have presented otherwise, I think you two are pretty good together. So that being said, I went in there because we were presented with something that may be a possibility of Ziggy being associated with a criminal gang. So that's what we're dealing with here. I went into that to see, well, I didn't go into that believing it. I went into that with let's give it in cop terms. I went in with reasonable suspicion. Okay? Flop, you were concerned. That concerned me. I mean, Maisie had said that when, I don't remember exactly whose name was brought up, and Ziggy's name was brought up, she told me that you felt sick. That made me feel sick, because I don't want you feeling like that about your partner. So, I went into that conversation to try and figure out whether or not Ziggy was telling the truth after he'd spoken to you and smooth things out. And I'll be honest, Ziggy, everything you said to me only made me believe that you weren't telling the truth. From not telling me where Barry Benson lives to trying to convince me that cops who turn to crime because the system fails them, that I should have sympathy for that. That you are planning ahead and you've warned both myself and Flop about you mistakenly committing crime and being prepared for that. When I ask you about it, you say that the crime that you're talking about is self-defense. And clearly that's not why you brought that up, the flop, nor me. You brought that up because we were talking about a criminal gang that you were friends with, that you think sometime down the line you may commit crime with those people.
That is an assumption, because the in the context where those were brought up, it was entirely separate. There was the the attempt to link me to these people in that way, sure. uh but after having talked about that for a little bit, I wanted to clarify at some point that if, at some point in the future, and sure, it was a poor mistake, or a poor analogy referencing, like, self defense as a mistake or whatever. But it, the connection between the two was not something that I was even had remotely in my mind. Sure, I don't. I still don't have a good example as to what I meant, so it's hard. It's hard to even. Okay. I understand your perspective. Sorry.
And so, yeah, at the end of that conversation, I do believe that you aren't telling us the truth. I think you're much more involved with these people than just a lawyer or a therapist. I don't know the extent of that, but from the start of this conversation, before you stopped talking earlier, it sounds like, I don't know exactly what it sounds like, but it sounds more than therapy.
What did you just do?
And so I gave you an ultimatum. I did. That wasn't just for flop, because
Did you give me an ultimatum?
no, I'm saying I gave Ziggy an ultimatum that either if he wants to go down that road and he wants to perhaps commit crime with these people in the future, then now would be the time to separate himself from the people that would get hurt, because people do get hurt in those situations. Family members get hurt, especially ones that are police officers. So yes, I gave an ultimatum that if he wanted to go down that line, as much as I wouldn't approve of it, keep flop you out of it and do it. Otherwise, just stay on the path and
You
keep.
you told me that if that was the case, I should leave.
Yes, if you're going to do crime, you should leave. Because you're only going to put flop in danger. God knows who else. What other members of the family are going to get put in danger too? And as much as your intentions may be good, and you will I never ever believe that you will intentionally put Flop or any other member of this family in danger. If you get too involved, that is out of your control. And then that same night, well, you're pretty close to Solomon, right, Ziggy?
Yeah. Me and
You
Solomon
and
work
him are like
together.
lawyer buddies.
Yeah, he's running for mayor. Yeah.
You gonna help him out run for mayor?
Campaign, yeah.
Is Solomon a part of ADMC?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Well, he has access to Barry Benson's house.
Okay.
Seems pretty comfortable with it too.
How do you know that?
Because I watched him go inside.
Oh, Richard.
I'm just gonna come out and say, what the fuck is wrong with you?
What? Oh, uh, okay.
Why is that the question?
Not about that in particular. You know who else has a stressful job? and is at risk every day. People that wear a badge too. You're not trying to get me fired.
That's apples and oranges, son. Come on. That's apples and oranges. That's not a good comparison.
We know where we stand. We know where the line is. We don't willingly put an effort to walk over it.
Okay, but I just want to address Richard. Did you just happen to stumble upon that, or
I was at the courthouse. I drove past Solomon. I knew where I had looked at where Barry Benson lived because I was concerned about this whole thing. And I think I'd looked it up before me and Ziggy had even had this conversation. And I saw him and I drove up to the second floor because he was running into the alleyway and he ran straight into the back door of Barry Benson's house. And so obviously then I had to go speak to Maisie because now she might be in danger too. Because
why
she
would she
had
be
no
in
idea.
danger?
Because they're
She's
danger.
with Solomon.
Oh, okay.
Hold on, wait. Solomon's an attorney.
Yes.
So they're... I mean, not that there's...
I helped him get.
Not that there's
yeah.
anything wrong with having two attorneys, especially if there's a large group, but...
I mean, it's the ADMC. They're in jail quite often, so yeah. Yeah, they're also incredibly dangerous and don't like people snooping. Please be careful, Richard. Please.
So, Flo, what is wrong with me?
We had our conversation, and you immediately turned around and essentially respectfully went behind my back. You didn't tell
you're
me
right,
you were
I
going to
did.
have a conversation. Yeah. How the fuck am I supposed to feel?
You were aware that me and Ziggy were going to talk, but were
This
you
isn't a
ever
talk.
really... Hold on. Were you ever really going to sit down and ask your husband whether he was part of a gang?
Ziggy, you are here right now in front of everybody. Did I not ask you this question?
He did.
In the same way I did?
In a roundabout way, yeah.
Okay.
Before...
Can I hold my hands up?
No, before this continues, I want to say my part. I think, not I think, they view me as they view me as somebody that they would call a chaplain that holds rather sensitive information about stuff that goes on. Not all of it. I am not involved, nor do I get told much about whatever crime occurs, and frankly, I stay low and far from it. So, that they've said that is their viewpoint of me. I looked up what the role is, and how even it would be defined in terms of a group like that, and I do certainly fit that role in terms of how they define it. So that is where I stand with these people.
Ziggy.
Yeah.
You've been a cop long enough to know how these things play out. In situations like this, these people never, long term, make any sort of equitable decisions. Okay? People end up being nothing more than a replaceable cog in a wheel. And when those cogs get worn and start to slip or slow the wheel down, they'll try something quick and dirty to try to get everything back in motion the way it was before. Even if that means running that cog that you would be faster and harder despite nothing else changing until you slip. And then you get replaced by another replaceable cog. Because again, these people do not care long term about anybody but themselves. But if something were to happen to you, I need you to look around here and acknowledge that it's not even just us, everybody else who loves you. We are going to be affected by that because of the decision you made to be a willing cog in that wheel. And
Because when they're done with you, they'll put a bullet in you.
And the reality is, that won't even be their first course of action. Their first course of action would end up being threatening the people you care about to get you to do things that you otherwise wouldn't. To get you to go faster in that wheel. Again, until you slip. And then they hurt somebody you care about. And tell you somebody else is next if you can't get back into that wheel and do it better and faster than last time without slipping. I'll say this, and this is probably the last thing I'm going to say. I don't care at all any of what you've done. Potentially, hypothetically, it doesn't matter. Unless you've been involved in a homicide, which I highly doubt. I love you, Ziggy. And I hope to keep on loving you. And please, please, do not give me a reason to stop.
Gee. Chaplain's,
Sorry, go ahead.
I think most of us have had experience with motorcycle gangs, and chaplain's like a rank. It's a position in the club, and they don't hand those out to no members. So if you've been blotted in,
I don't know if that's I don't know if that's what happened, or I would call it. It nothing like that has happened.
Richard, wait.
I don't know. What does a blooding in consist of?
Let's
Oftentimes
put it this way.
it requires you to do something you otherwise wouldn't. Something you'd typically never consider doing to sort of prove you're worthy and can be trusted.
Oh no. That hasn't happened. They did ask me to kill a panther, but those are an invasive species, so I did do that.
Well, let's put it this way. If you leave, are they going to put a bullet in your head?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. I think that if I was to leave and take all of their information and, have done so in malice or something like that, I think yeah, I'm sure. I think that would happen. But if, I don't know, if I was just to be like, hey guys, I'm like, this isn't, this is affecting, me in a pretty negative way. I don't, no, I don't think that would be an issue.
I'm gonna check it on Richard.
Okay.
Hmm. For what it's worth, I don't think officially he's been blooded in. Not that that matters in the grand scheme of things, but
Yeah, but he's in.
you didn't get to finish before you walked away, but he did say he truly believes that the only time something would ever happen is if he did something with malice and tried to utilize whatever information he has against them, whether that be turning it over to the police, whatever.
That's
At
naive.
least that was my. I agree. I agree. Okay. But also, I I think there's something to be said about the fact that he admitted to it, knowing full well he could have just denied, and played it off as if nothing ever happened until he slipped up again.
There's no way out for him now. That's it. It's in a discussion of, oh, get out before it's too late. That's gone. That's finished.
Okay. I agree. The realist in me agrees, but sometimes people make mistakes and didn't realize what they were getting into until it was too late. And I don't mean this as in like you know, like a relationship in which somebody is cheated, right? Like you sort of typically go into that with, you always go into it knowing you're already in a relationship. But what if this was originally just a group of friends he enjoyed being around? And it slowly delved into the combination of him being both their friends and always around, and also their attorney, and also the voice of reason, resulting in him being a therapist. And then rather than it being a willing thing, took the path of least resistance and just sort of nodding his head and continuing on and doing as he does. And then suddenly he's given something he may not have necessarily wanted. Would I hold him responsible for that?
Thank you.
I think there's some blame to be had, yeah. But that wouldn't be. That wouldn't be. I'd be disappointed, but I wouldn't think differently of him. Depends on circumstance, really. You know just as well as I do, as does he, as does Flop, as does Etta. You can be presented a situation. Everything remains the same. All of the circumstances, everything. You go in front of a judge, and if you don't articulate it properly, despite nothing changing outside of just the articulation, all of the facts of the case are the same. The outcome can be wildly different. Because you either didn't say something, didn't communicate something very specifically that happened. And in situations like this, what if it was something that started innocently? And I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Ziggy wouldn't have known, but Ziggy does also know that taking the path of least resistance typically keeps you on people's good side enough to where you can generally feel safe. You know what I mean? I guess the long story short is that I don't know that this was a willing thing as much as it was he was there, he was convinced, and probably didn't assume much would come of it. You said it. He's naive. I 100% agree with that. But if he wanted to lie to us this entire time and not have said anything, not have mentioned that position,
He has lied. He has. He lied to Flop. Because Flop didn't know about this, I can guarantee you that. He lied to me the other day. He's been lying for however long he's been a part of this group.
okay, well, really think
No,
about it.
we gotta go.
Are we? No. Hold on. I mean, you're right. He has lied. Okay, and he has very clearly omitted information. Then if you start sort of breaking this down, how does that compare to us not telling Flop? We didn't tell Flop because we thought it'd be a better decision. We didn't think it was relevant. We didn't think there'd be anything positive contributed to Flop's life, knowing that prior information, right?
I think the difference is we didn't put Flop in that situation. Ziggy did. Ziggy knowingly got involved with people who killed police officers and didn't tell his
That's
police
what I'm
officer
saying.
husband.
What if he didn't? What if this started as an innocent, he was their attorney, and then it spiraled in a way that he thought he could control but couldn't? And he figured he would keep it cool, take the path of least resistance, and as a result, now we're here. And obviously it's not good. It's definitely not good. People make mistakes, and everything I said up there is true. I don't have a problem dropping someone and pretend they never existed in my life. Call me heartless, cold-blooded. To me, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I know where I stand. But that's why I laid out the consequences. I made it clear. Outside of being involved in a homicide, I don't care what you did before. Truly, I don't. But don't lie to us moving forward. And then he was seemingly honest. If I had to guess, you know, the police officer in me thinks he may have befriended people, and eventually, doesn't matter how it happened. Maybe it was him being naive. Doesn't matter. His back ended up being against the wall, took the path of least resistance, thought he could stay under the radar for probably longer than where he's at now, hoping to do something, hoping to not make us worried, and instead we're here. Intent matters, right? If it was his intent to go into this knowing he was putting the lives of others in danger, that's one thing. But if that wasn't his intent, that's a different story. That's why I wanted to make it clear. Clean slate. But don't give me a reason to not believe you. You know?
Yeah. Issue is now he's got no way out. He can't just leave the club, which means he can't just stop doing whatever he's doing, which means he can't leave it. He can't leave Flop. That's not going to happen. Flop's just going to be in danger. That's just a fact. And if we tell Ziggy to leave, then Flop's going to go with him, and then we lose Flop.
I don't know what the best course of action here is. It really is essentially trying to choose the lesser of two evils without knowing what either of the two evils are. But what I do know is, I mean, obviously I'm not happy. I don't like that he lied. I can see, and I hope you understand with me bringing up the Flop situation. Sometimes it's not something you want to do, but you feel obligated to do because you don't want other people to worry about things.
I don't know whether I can trust it that it was his reason for lying.
I don't
know.
What I do know is that unless I am 1,000% confident there was some sort of malicious intent, he fully knew what he was doing at the time, I'm not just going to give up on Ziggy. Yeah, I can be upset with him. I can be upset with family members. That's why I draw that line, and I make it very clear what you need to do to go over it. And once you're across, there's no coming back. Is because I want people to know that there is nothing in this world that will get you back over that line. So choose wisely. And here we are.
Yeah.
And I'll go up there and let him know. Like I'm hoping this was him being naive and not realizing what he was actually stepping into. And it may have been related to his jobs. It may have been related to him just making friends with certain people. But I'm not giving up on him. He's family.
Yeah, he is.
And to also be clear, should he cross that line, I'm not giving up on him. But what I mean by that in that case is at that point he sort of gave up. And I'm unwilling to push him back over because again, that line is one way. One way and one way only.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should head back up there.
Mhm.
Okay. So explaining this is a little difficult because I've already laid out all the cards on the table, right? I've made it clear for me personally, and again, I can't speak on behalf of Richard, but for me, I have that line, right?
Mhm.
And once that line is crossed, there's no coming back. Um, I, and I don't care what's happened in the past. Again, the one exception, everything is a clean slate from me,
Mhm.
and your family. Okay, I'm not just going to give up or lose hope or anything to that extent. Um, and I'm sort of mentally operating under the assumption here that whatever position you're in was not a sort of not willful, that's not the term I'm looking for, but a lot of this is sounding like you were either naive to what was going on or helping in the capacity of one of your jobs, or just maybe you befriended a bunch of people and then sort of unintentionally took the path of least resistance and then ended up being put in this position and then tried to again take the path of least resistance to ensure that nothing would happen, and then it probably escalated a little too far. This is how I'm playing it out in my mind.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if you went into this fully knowing exactly what was going on. I'm hoping not that I like it. I'm hoping it became a matter of you taking the path of least resistance versus willfully involving yourself in a dangerous group of people.
Mhm.
Um, again, just know that I'm not going to give up on you.
Mhm.
But should you cross that line, I've said it a million times now. I have no problems dropping people. But if
Mhm.
you cross that line is very much so one way. And it essentially implies that you gave up and I'm unwilling because I am incapable of letting someone back over.
Yeah.
Understand?
Yes.
And I know I've already said this. I know I'm sort of going in circles here. It's just I can't stress enough the importance that I'm hopeful this was a circumstance of you being naive
Mhm.
and not intentionally stupid, for
Mhm.
lack of a better term. That's where
Yeah.
I stand. If you need help with something, if you need help to distance yourself, you need to figure stuff out, I'll be here. And it's not going to be easy should that happen. If it happens, it's not. Everyone here has been around long enough and experienced enough to know what happens in situations like this. It's not going to be easy. So you got to figure out what you're going to do.
Okay. So some things that I wanted to just get out into the open. I sort of this how I even came across these people was sort of just throughout my day-to-day stuff, and having hung out with them for a little bit and just chatted with them, knowing them on a relatively casual level, because because of just who I was as a cop, you pick up on little things. Also, and I don't know if I've really this is something that I don't really talk about, and I think that you guys probably have already heard this at some point. It was several years ago, so if you don't remember, that's totally okay. I had slash still have a real issue with an addiction. It was a coke addiction. I haven't touched stuff in a very long time, but that being said, being around these people, you can kind of clock similar stuff, and it, after having become friendly with these people, chats into those sort of things start to happen. But because of them being a group, there's a certain level of trust that they want to have established for that, and that for them, I don't know how it works with other clubs or whatever. For them, is in the way of a chaplain. Now, normally, I looked up what the role is after hearing it, and that can be somebody who people go to for just their problems, not necessarily religious. Sometimes it is religious, um, and talk with them about them, whatever. Um, so, having heard that, and seeing and hearing about vaguely some of the shit that they were struggling with, I wanted to help. I wanted to you know be a part of alleviating that in some way. So they asked me to do something with them, and I think that Richard, because of um, your past with the loss that I'm privy to, I think you think that maybe I did something worse than I did. They asked me to kill a panther, which frankly was it's an invasive species. They're not supposed to be here, and their population has gone wild. Whatever. That's I'm from. That's my mindset from being a ranger. Whatever. So I
If
did
I
it.
can, for a second, Ziggy,
Sure.
I think you got the wrong idea of why I was worried about you being blooded in.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't worried about what you had to do.
Mm-hmm.
I just know that once you're blooded in, there's no way of getting out.
Mm.
It's a one-way ticket.
Okay. So I have known of uh, clubs, groups, gangs, whatever that hold on to that sentiment. Um, from what I was told, that isn't necessarily the case with them. Can that happen? Potentially. Um, but I was also told that there are, amicable ways to separate. And if I've been lied to, then that is a bridge that I will cross. something that I was just talking to Flop about was he knows, or Flop was saying that he knows how, or rather that I would keep myself safe along with everybody here in whatever way that I can. And this is sort of what I'm about to say, or this idea that I'm about to say, is if, you know, everything has gone wrong, and I know that you guys have that idea in mind pretty on the regular, because that's, you know, that can be the reality of things, so I understand. But should everything go wrong, after all the conversations that I've had with these people, and the ways that I've been helping them cope with either addictions or childhood traumas or whatever else they may be going on, or that they may have going on, if they were to decide we don't need Ziggy anymore, not only would they crumble a little, I have contingencies in place should anything occur. It's a sort of understanding of a mutually assured destruction, which is not a good basis, you know, to stand on, but it is, you know, a safety net, albeit a thin one. So there is that. But beyond that, I don't, you know, I understand how you guys view them, and honestly, I also, you know, see them in that way of, you know, they do things that are not necessarily justified. But when I talk to them and, you know, hear about the shit that they have dealt with, there's a perspective that I gain on it. Again, not trying to justify it, but having gone through similar stuff, one growing up, two before I was a cop, you know, there's an understanding there, and there's a want. There is a want for me to, you know, help them in the way of their mental stability, in terms of therapy stuff. With law stuff, you know, that honestly, I do law stuff as a money thing. I'm not a big fan of the work. It's tedious and annoying. So that is fully where I stand with all of it.
Did you make those contingency plans sort of ahead of time, or did you suddenly realize you're in a position in which you felt it necessary?
The idea of the contingencies were have always been there. That's sort of, you know, the cop brain, but fully setting them into motion, I have not done yet, and I will now.
You do understand that should they realize or even hear of the idea, the likelihood of them doing something, even to their detriment, is fairly high.
So, they know who I am, who I was, and they know that, you know, you guys are my family. They understand that that is not something to be abused or taken advantage of. That is, you know, that was, it wasn't talked about at length, but it was, you know, addressed in some way. I mean, the topic of Flop has come up a lot. He's, you know, he's my husband, and you know, he is a cop, and I think the general consensus is, you know, they understand that everyone here has their job to do, and that is not going to interfere or be, like I said, taken advantage of because of just the whole situation. Now, I don't expect you guys to hold them to that or believe that at all, because of.
Well, no,
you know, yeah.
I believe it, and I believe that you believe it, and I think that'll remain true until they're put in a spot
Hmm, okay.
in which that's no longer the case, and that's the concern.
Okay. Okay, I understand that. That's fair. Um, okay. Um, all right. Well, I want to say this, um, and this may be obviously, poor decisions just overall on on my part. I have no problems admitting that. But uh, let's say for whatever reason that safety net fails. Um, it, I will put myself in the way of anything that may happen, um, and I don't think that that's going to be the case. And I don't want to view it as that, but I understand. We're thinking worst case scenario. If they want something done because of something that I have done, then it will be to me and nobody here.
Be clear, that's what you're hoping for. Remember, Ziggy, cogs in a wheel. Something cheap and dirty in an attempt to force you to do something you otherwise wouldn't. Get you to get back in operation despite the fact that you're slipping, you're slow.
Hmm.
They want you to go faster and faster, despite your
Mhm.
environment being you literally not being capable. When you get to a point where you want something to do something, or you want someone to do something,
Mhm.
I've said this a million times, probably to every one of you. You want to hurt someone, you don't target them, you target the people they care about. So that that person can watch all of the people they love get hurt because of the one person in the center, you in this case,
Mhm.
feel guilty and will do what they ask to prevent the people around you from getting hurt. So
If
I
I,
think your intent is good, Ziggy, but remember, we're talking about people who are willing to do crazy things.
Mhm.
Oh,
that's there's people selling drugs. That's happening recently up here. Anyway, and I agree with what you're saying, and I know that that is the potential for that is can most certainly be a reality. However, if I get even a vague notion of that, uh, they will have to kill me. Um, I've told Flop this. I told Richard this the other day. Uh, if I am forced to make a choice, it is you guys every time.
Yeah, that's the problem, Ziggy. Guess if we're gonna move past this, Ziggy, you had no right to put me and Matt in the position of losing another son. You had no right putting Flop in the position of losing his husband, or Etta losing her brother-in-law, because that's what it's boiled down to.
I'm going to stop you. I understand that you are hurt and afraid of reliving what happened with Cody. But we all take chances like that every single day, every time Flop goes on duty, I know you said it was apples to oranges earlier, but every time Flop puts on a badge, every time Matt puts on a badge, every time you did, we all took a risk to help the people of this city. These people that I'm trying to help right now cope with their shit. It's a similar fucking thing, and I understand you see it in a different light because they are people who do bad shit. I fully understand. I get it. But my goal with all of this is to try and help them cope with the terrible shit that they've been through. And all of your goal is to help the people of the city overall, and it's a different perspective. So in that way, I see the difference. But all the same, in terms of the risk, to say that I am outright different because of it. Let's say Flop does something in his line of work. He gets involved with the case, and now whoever it is starts targeting his family. Let's say I fuck up with this group of people or whatever, and they start targeting my family. You see the correlate? I understand. You're afraid, and I'm going to make sure that in every step that I take, that you don't have to relive a situation like that. But these people, while they may have different points of views, they are still just people. We've gone through some pretty horrible shit. And that's it. That's it. That is where I'm at with it.
I know.
While I don't necessarily disagree with Richard, Ziggy, I think wholeheartedly you wanting to help them, I fully believe you had good intent. But I also think it's fair to say you're probably flying a little too close to the sun regarding that. Oftentimes, we want to help people, Ziggy, and it sometimes it's not possible, Ziggy. And it sounds like you've taken on, I don't want to call it the burden, so it sounds disrespectful, but sometimes, let me reword this. It seems like there's way too much on your plate right now. And I think even with good intent, even with being willing to help these people, you're probably split so many different ways if you have to help as many people as you're kind of alluding to, that there may not be as much of a contribution to each person, I guess, that you want. And one thing I've always preached being in the police department is that you need to be the best you that you can be before helping anybody else, Ziggy. And I think given the position you're in now, again, even if you went into this with really good intent, I don't know if you can help these people, when in the back of your mind you have to consider every action you take to determine whether or not there's some path that somebody can be thinking in their mind of hurting the people around you to get you to do something you otherwise wouldn't. What I'm saying here is, again, you went into it with good intent, but I don't think realistically it's attainable.
I think that first I want to say that I understand where you're coming from with that, but in saying that, it is based on a preconceived view of not only them but me a little bit. I when I was a cop and I studied and became psychology slash behavioral analyst. It was some of the most enjoyable police work that I did. Um, being able to understand why people do the things that they do. And it's a similar thing now. And you are right. There, I'll never be able to prevent every single bad situation that occurs to them, or even be able to give them proper ways to cope with the things that have occurred. Sometimes that is just unfortunately the case. But in doing so, and I think that maybe you could even relate this to police work, because I know I did. If I could help someone in any small way, if it just improves their day to day in a small way, then it's worth it to me, frankly. And being stretched thin is understandable and a reality of it. And I told them, if I at any point feel stretched thin, I will take time to myself. I will step away and deal with whatever I need to be dealing with. And not a single one, not a single person has pushed back when I said that I need time to myself. I have not been pushed or forced, and I get that because of past experiences, you guys may see that as what could happen. And honestly, I get it too. If that ever becomes the case, then I will fully understand my situation. But as it stands presently, I'm not being made to do any of it. And if I feel that I am either one, not helping, two, being stretched too thin, I can freely step away and take time for myself. I don't want to refute every point you guys make, because I do understand it. And it overall, after all of this, I know it's not a smart decision, in a few different ways. So I don't want to fight back on everything you guys are saying. I understand I understand my place in all of this. And if anything changes in any negative way, I will handle it appropriately, and I will make sure that nobody gets hurt. I understand the risks. I'm sorry that I'm sorry that I even brought all of this here, and I know that it's sort of an afterthought apology. I did not think that it would have the impact that it has. So I fully grasp that now, and the reason why I hadn't said anything before is because I didn't really want people to worry. But that that was foolish of me. So
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I mean, in saying that, though, you did bring up a good point. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that what you said wasn't true. On duty every day. We potentially get targeted by people. Their mindset doesn't change. If they were really fucked up, same thing applies. Really hate someone, I want to get to them. You go for the people they care about. which does mean that when we're on duty and we're doing our job and we upset somebody, same thing applies to pretty much everyone around us. So I'm not necessarily saying that makes all this go away, but you're not wrong. There is, at first I was seeing it from a very skewed perspective of, well, Ziggy, yeah, of course, except we put on the badge. We willingly take that risk. But it doesn't stop there. If we upset the wrong people, you're at risk. Ed is at risk. Pop's at risk. Everyone around us, if they really wanted to. So, I don't want to end this conversation without at least acknowledging and bringing that up, because I feel it's important. Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess I'll say, sorry for threatening to punch you in the face yesterday. That being said, to put the facts on the table here, is you're in. I think it would be naive of us to assume that you will have a clean way out if that ever happens. I can also understand that you do have good intentions, and I trust you on that. But at the end of the day, you are now I don't know how long it's been, but you're a member of a violent gang, organization, club, whatever you want to call them. That's fact. And I guess we're going to have to deal with that as a family. And what that means is the first step for that, and I think we're starting in the right spot here, is no more lies. No more half-truths. No more dodging questions. Just for everybody's mental and physical welfare. And this goes both ways. This isn't just you to us. This is us to you as well. We can't be having secrets in this family, because it only leads to pain. As much as, you were worried about us finding out, didn't want us to worry. Matt made the point downstairs about whether or not we were right to lie to Flop for all these years about his situation. And maybe we were wrong. And this is it. This is the moment right here that changes. We make decisions as a family, and we tell each other the truth. And that's how we deal with this in the best way possible. That's how we make the best of a shitty situation. And as much as I said things yesterday, I don't see you differently, Ziggy. And at least until you start going around and hurting people or being involved in that kind of thing, then you're still just that guy that crashes his car at 100 miles an hour into trees everywhere and helps people out. And also is the person that loves my son very much.
Thank you.
Flop,
Mm.
you okay?
Um, I have some stuff I need to think about, or on my own. Um, some of it work related, some of it just getting a bearing. But I'm sorry for lashing out.
You're fine. I think we were probably going to need a little bit of time to get back to normal, if normal's ever going to be a thing again.
I before we go anywhere, I having had the chance after our talk the other day, Richard, I ran into Eda because she was here, and she talked with me quite a bit about everything that was going on. But something that I wanted to recognize and bring up to everybody here, and I mentioned this to Eda a little bit ago. Eda, sees and hears a lot of the stuff that you know us boys talk about between each other, whether it be work or just other stuff, and now even family stuff. Uh, I I expressed obviously that I appreciate Etta for everything that she does in terms of talking to us about the stuff that we have going on. But I want to recognize that, um, or rather implore everyone here, and this includes myself too, make sure that we are checking in on her because she has a lot going on. She's literally the city council treasurer, and she's dealing with a psychopath for a mayor that is breathing down her neck pretty on the regular. And I I want to make sure that she is also heard. I know that we've talked about a lot already, but Etta also has a lot going on, and I don't want that to go ignored or unanswered. She is an equal part, and I would say a really important part of this family because, you know, even with all of this, even with everything she has going on, she has decided, or well, not decided, but she has helped ground me and calm me down whenever shit was going on. So
Thanks.
How are you doing, Etta?
I'm okay, I guess. Max
I know,
wants me dead, but you know.
yeah, she was telling me that Max had potentially put out like a hit or something, or at least mentioned it.
Again?
It's constant, never ending. He just wants me dead. Because I refuse to stop being a thorn in his side.
It's funny that you say that because somehow I'm also a thorn in his side. Had a brief conversation with Siobhan, and she said that Max had called me insignificant. I thought was funny, ironic even, because somehow everything I do in the police department upsets him. And I don't understand how somebody who believes me to be so insignificant can let someone like me or you upset him as much as we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say you're doing an incredible fucking job. Frankly, just, I mean, obviously I don't know all the details, but from what I've heard slash seen of city council stuff, um, and I know that obviously it has put you in a difficult place, in even in danger. You uh, holding on to your convictions and what you feel to be right, even in light of all of that, is I don't think there could be anybody else better for the role, frankly.
Thanks.
Mhm.
I'll even add on to that. I don't even know how long ago it was when we spoke about it, when you said you were originally thinking you were going to get fired. And I told you to write it out. But I also told you that the reason that he feels so strong on you is because the mayor's not looking for respect, he's looking for compliance.
Exactly.
And I think the fact that you were not compliant with his, with all due respect, demands only shows why you were so valuable for the role and as resilient as you are.
Thanks. It can be incredibly, well, it has been very isolating. Uh, and I guess that's why I kind of rely on all of you so much. That's why I'm constantly reaching out, because I don't really have anybody else that I can rely on. And it's hard, but
Yeah,
it's also really important.
yeah. I
So
think it's
thank you for that.
yeah.
Family's full, right?
You
Yeah.
I will say I think you work a pretty thankless job for keeping quite a bit in line. So and you don't get enough recognition for that. And obviously, I wish that were different, but I want you to know that we, at the very least here, recognize that. Okay.
Thank you. In all honesty, I probably would have caved a long time ago if it hadn't been for Sean.
Mm,
He's been incredibly good to me.
mm,
Hmm.
mm,
I I don't want to cut this short.
mm,
I unfortunately do have to get going.
yeah.
Me too.
I will say this.
Mm,
I love all of you. Okay. And if you ever need to talk, I know I'm difficult to get a hold of. 90% of the time, I'm not picking up a phone call. But if you need me, call
mm,
and call and call. I see a number call me 2, 3 times. Unless I'm in a shootout or traveling at 190 miles an hour and literally unable to pick up the phone, I will pick up. And regardless of the circumstances, if it is urgent, if you need me, I will be there. Or if you call and send me a text message, um, if I don't pick up saying it's urgent, emergency, something, so that I know immediately that I need to, you know, sort out whatever's going on, break off, I will. So,
Thank you.
Okay.
and also, I'm not apologizing for this, but sometimes I don't pick up because the phone number don't show your name. It's just a number, okay?
Yeah.
No, I think Richard's. I think the sixth, seventh number of his phone starts with an 8. I think that's what I've gathered.
Yeah.
He does the fourth
Four
from the
twenty eight
last.
one seven 8147.
8147. See, I knew that if it's got an 8
the
after the
hell?
dash, I'm
Wait,
pretty
I don't
sure
even
it's
know
Richard.
my own phone number.
Oh,
Yeah,
mine's
I just had to
420
change mine.
685 81.
What
How
the hell?
How do you guys know that offhand?
Oh, I don't know, but both of our, the last 4 starts with an 8. That's how I
Yep.
know his.
I
Barely.
I just know it starts with 420.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I know.
Everybody's done.
Gosh.
I know. I know. Fuck.
Yeah, that's what I had to change mine, but yeah, that's
Okay.
okay. Will do.
Yeah, I think we've we talked about a lot, and it's a lot to process.
Mhm.
So I mean, maybe we just. I'm really grateful that we had the chance to talk, because I was really yeah. I just want to say, one, that I'm sorry again, two, that I also love you guys and really really do appreciate you. So.
I love you all.
I love you all.
You guys are all right. I'm kidding.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go actually spend my
You
day
dropped
off.
something.
You dropped something.
I did drop
Yeah,
something. What did,
yeah.
It was
what
a
did I drop?
coin. Here, let me grab it.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah,
Thank
there
you.
it is.
Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. All right,
I'll see you guys later.
great.
I
Thursday D&D.
God damn it.
Thursday
Okay.
D&D sometime in the afternoon.
Okay.
Wait,
Okay.
is this the comedic relief part?
I think so.
Okay, Ziggy, you
Yeah.
mentioned something about Coke. You know they have Diet Coke, right?
I know
Oh.
you did. I hate you for that.
That was
I hate-
amazing,
I hate
actually.
On that note, I gotta go.
Hey, Matt,
Yeah.
before you leave, I was told that you and I need to have a conversation about something else soon.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually don't. We just had that conversation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we did. I heard what I
He-
needed to.
He literally never puts anything before me, and his love has not waned a single day in 3 months.
I'm glad to hear that. And like I said, I heard exactly what I needed to. So I have my answer, and I'll be letting him know as soon as I see him.
Okay, he hasn't had a chance to talk to Richard yet, so
I'm sure he's heard everything as well.
okay.
Hello.
What?
Mhm.
Is that Etta with you up there?
Yeah.
Does she know anyone with a...
I know.
Whose car is this?
That's Fiona Stewart's car.
Why?
That sounds like a conversation you might need to have with your housemates.
Huh? Okay, I was just concerned that someone may have been in the area trying to hide.
Wait, hold on. They actually got. Oh, that's Eric's wife's car.
The fuck did you just say?
I think the line's breaking up.